But in my heart of hearts, it is a matter of life and death, not only for myself, for my children, my grandchildren, both of the flesh and spirit, but our entire community, not to allow anything that has been used to divide us to win.
Good evening and good afternoon, wherever you're watching this podcast, and welcome to this conversation on building Black trans political power. I will be your moderator this evening for it. I am Monica Roberts, and we're doing this conversation literally a couple of days after Marsha P. Johnson's 75th birthday. Which is kind of apropos for the timing of this. And we're also doing this conversation at a time in which we have a critical, probably democracy-defining historical inflection point happening just a couple of days from now on November 3rd. We have a major election coming up, as you know. The Republican convention is going on right now, along with other events other things that are happening inside and outside our community. I have the honor and the privilege of also introducing a couple of our panelists that will be taking part in this discussion in Diamond Stylz. Diamond is, as many of you know, the host and of the Marsha's Plate podcast, which you can hear on various platforms. And Diamond, I would like to open it up and let you say hi to the people.
Hey, how are you doing? I am Diamond Stylz. I'm also along with Marsha's Play, being the host and creator of Marsha's Play, I'm also the executive director of Black Trans Women's Inc. So, yes, I'm so excited to be here, talk about, some politics with you, Monica.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since we had a chance to really talk about it. Hint, wink, wink. But our other panelist joining us tonight is Jevon Martin. He is the executive director of Princess Janae Place up in NYC, and a longtime trans advocate himself. Say hello,
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, Monica. You know I love you with all my heart. Hi, Diamond, my sister. Wow, this is amazing, and I'm ready to talk politics. Just a little disclaimer, anything that I say is of my own opinion, and it is not in any way reflecting upon any organization that I am affiliated with, Princess Janae Place, Equality New York, or the Mr. and Miss Trans USA pageant.
It's crazy we got to give all these disclaimers.
That's politics for you, right? Well, I'm excited, Monica. Let's get into it. I think you're muted, Monica. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So now let's go ahead and yeah, all right. Yeah, let's go ahead and okay. No, though. Let's get this party started. So, of years, folks get elected to public office. And one of the trans folks to get elected to public office was Althea Garrison, when she got elected to the state legislature of Massachusetts in 1992. We had to wait a while to see our second trans folks get elected to public office, and Fortunately, it was a pair of folks in Andrea Jenkins and Philippe Cunningham. So my question to both of you is, what does building trans-political power look like to you? And we'll start ladies first. Diamond.
Oh gosh, it's funny that you mentioned Althea Garrison. I remember I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, but part of my youth I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, and so during that time was '92. I was in Boston during '92 when all that stuff was going down, and I remember as a little person who didn't have the language about being trans, who didn't have the language, all the things that I know now as an almost 40-year-old woman. I remember being on the bus stop with my mom and them having the conversation about Boston Globe outing her. And you know, they were using the horrible language of this. It used to be a man, it, and he, she, and all this kind of stuff. And my little mind, not understanding or having the language that I have now, I still resonated with what they were talking about. I still was curious and like, oh my God, are they talking about there's somebody who's actually, you know, living, you know, their life the way they want to live it? It opened up so many questions in my mind, and I had so many conversations with my mom, and my mom also not having the language about transness. She's trying to explain it to the best of her ability, not being toxic, but also, you know, not having any kind of you know, political analysis. She's a hood girl in a battered women's shelter, and we were trying to survive. So, you know, I ain't trying to talk about no trans stuff. That's how my mom was. But I remember that time, and I didn't know the context. But now that I'm a grown woman, I have a context, and I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe I was in the middle of that as a young child. So for now in 2020, for me, it's all the building political power for me is about deciding what kind of battle that I want to choose within the next 4 years. I want to, do I want to battle a misogynist white supremacist that's in the office currently for another 4 years? Or do I want somebody who may be moderate, but and maybe a little bit racially tone deaf, but they still see my humanity. I'd rather battle with that person and move them over to the left than to worry about somebody who doesn't even see my humanity, who wants to allow, you know, healthcare workers to deny me healthcare. I don't want to battle that fight. I want to battle something that's a little more closer to home. So for me, that is building political power, knowing, you know, where your battle should lie in the future.
Okay. Get this mic. And Jevon, you know, same.
Yeah. So
question. What does building trans political power look like to you?
Yes. So to me, what that looks like is who we have in office in New York, right? Melissa Sklarz, right? Melissa Sklarz has been fighting for New York for all of us for many years. When she was at Empire State Pride Agenda, right? That's what it looks like. Putting trans people into office, right? Putting trans people on committees in office, right? There shouldn't be any decisions about us without us, right? On the boards at hospitals, there should be trans people. You know, previously, when we had Obama in office, there was an LGBTQ committee, right? 4 years, this guy has been in office. There's no coalition. There's no table for us. There's no visibility for us. I went on the website. There's nothing. Why? Because they are trying to erase us. They don't care anything about us. So what it looks like for me, for us, is to get in there. And I'm a realist, right? And I'm watching what's happening. And if it does happen, if he does end up there, we need to march over there and say, hey, you need to make a committee because our voices need to be heard, right? We have sat back long enough. This Friday, everyone will be marching on DC. That's what it looks like for us, right? Having someone talk on the podium for us in our honor to let everyone know that we're here. We are not going to be erased. We're not going anywhere, right? That's what it looks like to me. Step up, step into your power, show up, be heard, use your voice.
Definitely. Because and the piggyback on, I know one of the conversations that I have with the trans masculine community is the fact that many of feel seen or validated within trans political activism. So, what are some of the causes that you think, Jevon, are the reason why our trans masculine siblings don't feel in the
I didn't hear any of the
trans rights
question.
movement
I think you said, why do the trans masculine side does not feel
as a whole?
like they are seen in this political arena?
Right. So once again, I'm only speaking for myself, right? And in conversations that I've had with several other trans men, our voices are not being heard when we show up with the trans women to march in solidarity to fight with you all for. Okay, there's an echo. I'm sorry. When we fight for one another against discrimination and the murders of our trans sisters, right? We are often pushed to the back. I have been pushed to the back several times. I have waited. I have been out for a very long time, 50-year-old black trans man, and I wait because you women are the ones that are there that are being attacked, right? We are also being attacked, but not at the alarming rates that you all are being attacked. So I'm there. I'm with y'all. I'm yelling. I'm angry, right? I am the angry black man, and I have been labeled that because I'm tired, right? I'm tired of seeing my sisters, my siblings, my friends and family be abused and discriminated against. And I use my power, the fact that I can pass, to support that, right? Because I've had enough. Like how many more years are we going to tolerate this? Because that's what we're doing. We're tolerating it. How many more years are we going to allow people to do this to us? I've been saying this. Let's take to the streets. You know, we're doing it now. We're taking to the streets, but we're taking it to the wrong places. I've been saying, let's go to the White House. Let's march over there. We had a place at the table and it was taken away from us because of the new, you know, but we should have been marched there. Hey, how come there's no table for us? Let's make our own table. Let's put it out there because if we don't say anything, they won't know. Oh, they're okay. They're fine. They're not saying anything. No, we are, but we're saying it to each other. And we need to stop saying it to each other and taking it to where the problem is. I was saying we had a problem with the police, take it to the police. We have a problem with the people in the White House, we have to go there, right? So again, Friday, we're going there. That's what that's going to look like. Our voices need to be heard. And right now, the best way for our voices to be heard, all the trans masculine guys, all trans people, right? I'm not gonna leave anyone out. I'm gonna just say it. Although I'm speaking for me, all of us need. I made this up. Trans the vote. I don't know if it was already out there, but we're gonna do it again, right? Trans the vote. I don't care who you are, right? If you fit under the umbrella of transgender, right? Your voice is your vote. Don't think that your voice is not heard. Vote. Vote. You want access to services. Vote. That's where your voice is. You will be heard. And that's what we have to do. All the guys that feel they're not being heard, they're not being seen, vote.
And understand that this is not the time for divisiveness. And when I say this is not the time for divisiveness, this does not mean that I feel that nobody is above reproach. Nobody can. If you have a critique, yes, say your critique and let it be known. But what I mean is, this is not the time to stay home. This is not the time to let your ancestors down. This is not the time to let your community down. This is not the time to let your privilege to be able to stay home and not give a care. There are some people who are actually dying. When we think about the COVID numbers, when we think about people who are losing their jobs, people who are losing their homes, when we think about these people, there are people who don't have the privilege to stay home, who don't have the privilege to say, oh, if I don't vote, it won't affect me that much. There are some people whose literal lives are on the line when it comes to who is going to be in office, period. So somebody who advocates for people, who advocates for people on the margin. I see people. I have had 6 people in my life pass away because of COVID, because of the way this administration has handled this situation is deplorable. It is disgusting. It is not okay. In my mind, I feel like it is not the time for you to make some political statement by not voting. You have to get out here and vote. You have to, and this is somebody who I'm talking from a position where the people who are going to be on the ballot were not necessarily my first pick, but I know how dire this is. I know how dire, from seeing in my community and working in my community, this is a dire situation. And we have to really get out here and vote to look, if our votes didn't matter, why are they pulling up mailboxes? Why are they doing every single thing to suppress our votes? We have to get out here, because if they are investing money and time into suppressing us, that means it is important. You have to be a part of the change that we want to see. And that starts, no, it's not the end all be all, but it starts with voting. And then you go out in community and do your grassroots thing. But voting is a part of that tool that we can actually use, get people out of office, so we can actually get somebody in the office that can listen to us, and back to what I said, see our humanity.
Yeah, because John, the late John Lewis once said that voting is the most powerful tool that you have for social change. And and I've seen far too many elections in my 58 years that came down to basically a handful
I think you're breaking up, Monica.
Sabrina Fulton position on the Miami, she lost 331 votes.
Can you hear me? Just 1 minute. Got me?
Yes.
So I think what Monica's getting at is just how close these elections come. And if the elections do in fact come close, then how do we, prior to that, how do we effectively mobilize within our communities? In this case, how do we effectively mobilize prior to within the trans community and non-gender conforming community, so that we're ahead of the game rather than behind the game?
I think we have the beauty of the internet. right? We have the beauty of the internet where we are seeing perfect example of how stuff works in our favor. Look at the amazing work that Stacey Abrams did in Georgia. Think about how close she came. If there wasn't that suppression happening, if they weren't cheating and doing all that shady stuff, she would have won. They literally got out and went to those small places that people, that people are often forgot about. They actually went and did the groundwork and went, door to door, and went to these small places to be able to mobilize the community and give people solutions and talk to people directly why she is the one. And so these are things that have worked for years, but we see the results that it come. We can shake it up. We look at what happened in Alabama with Black women really changing the vote there. We look at it's so many examples of when we get out here and do the work, the footwork, the grassroots work to actually get into communities, it actually works. And for me, at my organization, the Black Trans Women's Inc., that is a part of our strategy to get to any clients, any kind of community outreach. We are including, a political plan of how we want to go forward. This is what we do. And I think everybody should implement that. You got to get out to your people because it is you that they might not trust Kamala. They might not trust Biden. They might not trust them, but they might believe in the plan that you have in the local arena. They might believe in you. So if you get them out there to vote because they believe in you, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. What you're talking about is political influence. So our influence is what helps us in our communities. But I think, Diamond, what you're suggesting, and Jevon, I'd like to hear from you here, sounds like what you're suggesting is a kind of collaboration across the community and sharing of information. And to be honest, do you think we really do that well? And how can we improve upon collaborations? Because, there's, especially when we're talking about funding for our work, there are only so many pies that we can dip into to get funding for our work. How do we join together and collaborate to get this work done?
So I can tell you firsthand, right, that when something happens in the transgender community, we can figure it out like that without the police, without the news, right? So I want to say there was an incident. This young lady was beat up in Hollywood, California, right? This video went viral, and the trans community jumped on it. Police was still trying to find who these guys were, what was happening. The trans community screenshot, cut, paste, posted these guys' pictures, right? So if we can do this for ourselves, could you imagine if we all were to come together and get behind Monica Roberts, yes, I said it, for office, and our voice will be heard through her. She has been our voice for many years. Out there in Houston, she's been in DC, she's been to Boston, she's been everywhere. She has been our voice. Tyler Brodus has been our voice in DC. We have always had people in the political realm, but they haven't had the support as all of these other politicians have, right? Not even knowing if this is the route that they want to take, but still, power in numbers. If Monica had half of the support that Andrea Jenkins had, Monica could run, right? And we've been doing this. We've been mobilizing for years. We've found our own murderers for trans women, right? And all of these things we've been doing. So let's all collectively come together, trans our vote, get these people out of office so that we can have our rights back that they keep trying to reverse, right? And healthcare, right? Our safety, right? And safety is in numbers, but we need the support from the White House, right? We need the support of our elected officials in our towns, in our cities, in our state, right? That's what it looks like. Step up, all of you that are out there. Oh, I have an idea, or I know what to do. Step up to the plate, because you will not believe how many people support you until you go out there to do it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
up.
really good. And here's Monica right now.
Yeah,
We're
because
lifting your
I
name,
have been
Monica, for
shot.
office.
Yeah, I heard. So, yeah, I've been getting that question a lot about running for office, and even more so after the Harris County Democratic Party honored me with the Barbara Jordan Breaking Barriers Award. And yes, I have been seriously thinking about this because one of the things that is happening here in Texas is why
You're fading in and out, Monica. So maybe I can help a little here. So I think Monica's pointing to some of the challenges that are happening
of
in the
trans
Texas
people
area.
and predominantly white trans people who ran for San Antonio City Council and yet. Starting to, well, we're, for all intents and purposes, a swing. It's time. Mm-hmm.
And knowing that it's time and knowing that it takes money to do these kinds of things. Because we have to be honest, we're living in a society that's
Yeah.
filled with capitalism, and that just invades politics. So that means there has to be a plan many years out, many years out. I heard someone say that someone wrote on the feed that politics is local. And so how do you plan for those local advances years out so that you get your local officials in place, you get your officials in place at the state level, you get officials in place at the federal level. How do you do that planning? And do you think people are really, really wanting really to be involved in politics? Or have we come to a point where we prefer to resist and protest and kind of leave politics almost in a kind of subordinate state?
Well, the time is now, right? And we've sat back long enough and waited and supported those to speak for us, right? And we have to speak for ourselves. Moving forward, it's our time. And I have sat back and watched so many people fight for our rights and put policies on the tables and and this is what the trans community needs, and this is what they are asking for. Them. It's never us up there saying what we need. This is what we need because we are going through this. There's a difference. When you see someone else up there fighting for other people, it's like, yeah, well, I've heard that before, right? But when you see us up there saying, hey, this is what we need, now it's a difference because we're putting a face to the issue, to the problems, to what we need to fix, right? This is what trans looks like, right? We put a face to it, right? Because they didn't know what trans looked like before. Trans looks like the person next door. Oh, I've known them for so many years and I never knew. Yeah, it's not for you to know, but now you know that I'm trans, and now you know, hey, you don't hate trans people anymore because I've lived next door to you for how many years and we've always had a great relationship, right? So now it's, oh, Oh yes, well, we have to help now. You should have been helping from the door, right? Because we're human, right? And our lives matter just as much as yours. I'm not saying your life doesn't matter. I'm not saying that you don't need what we need. It's just that we are being murdered, discriminated against, shunned, put out, abused for being who we are. And you're not. So the tables are turning, times are different. This is 2020, and our voice needs to be heard. Our voice is being heard, right? And now is our time, right? We have to be there because it's about us. You cannot do anything for us without us being a part of it. We have to be at the table.
Yeah, that's a whole word.
And understand that having a seat at the table, because a lot of time people stop at visibility when it comes to helping trans people. It's like, oh, let me bring them to the table, but not give them the room to change things or decide what's being fixed on the table. I say that all the time. So if you're not allowing me to decide if we're gonna have yams, if we're gonna have sweet potato pie, pecan pie, hog miles and the greens. If I can't decide what's happening, then I don't really have power. I just have access to the table. I'm just sitting there like a little child waiting on the adults to cook and waiting for them to fix my plate and not knowing exactly what I like. So maybe I might eat a little bit, but this right here I don't really need. And so. Y'all get the metaphor. So for me as an adult, a grown ass woman,
Speak, sis. Speak on it.
I want to be able to decide what is best for me. And because I'm in the trenches, like I'm not gonna ask some politician what's the best thing to do at war. I'm gonna ask a soldier who is at war. I'm gonna ask a soldier who is actually in the trenches. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna ask a person sitting up in the house that ain't out there in the trenches with the guns, da 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 da. I'm gonna ask the people who are out here in the streets, who are out here. I got queer men laying on my couch. I got trans women that I gotta go down and rally because they're trying to get their SSI and they
you better bring it.
Disrespecting them. I gotta go down here so I know, because I'm in the community, on how to move and rally people and how to help our people. If you're not allowing me to do that, then I'm gonna be like, what you got for me? So another thing is, within our community, we have to, I like to stay in my lane. I'm not ever going to be a politician. I'm never going to be a politician because my mouth is too slick and I want to keep my mouth slick because I want to keep people accountable. I don't want to ever have to be where I got to say things a certain way, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to say what I feel and I'm going to keep it real. So if I see a young lady or a young man or a non-binary person who has that gift of gab, who has whatever that respectability is that can get them in a position where they can be in a position of power, I'm gonna try to mold them into the direction. I'm gonna try to let them know, hey, you gotta keep connection to the community. I'm gonna try to put them in a position. If they want to be a politician, I'm gonna say yes, go for it, and push them out there. We have to train our people and train our leaders to actually and stop valuing leaders just because they have particular degrees, they went to a particular school, they went to all these Some people can be great leaders and don't have any of that. And so putting them in a position where they can be successful, I think that you learn that. I start working in retail. You learn that early on. Hey, who's the best person on your team so we can get them to be the right manager, to get them to be the sales lead, to get them to be the co-manager, to get them to be, so I can move on to district manager. We got to start building people up so they can be on the trenches with us, but they have the right mindset because you're making sure that they're not losing that connection to people. And so what's happening is some of our politicians are losing their connections to people. And for me, particularly, like Jevon said, when I see a trans person up there, it's just like when I saw Obama up there. It's like, oh my God, they're letting somebody get through. Maybe it gives me hope. It gives me hope that maybe we can shake some stuff up. Oh my God, oh my God. At first, I could be like my mom. Me and my mom was sitting like, oh, they ain't gonna let him. They ain't gonna let him. Back in 2008, y'all, I know I wasn't the only one. They ain't gonna let him blah, 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 blah. But as soon as it start growing, you like, whoa, it gives you hope. It gives you, okay, maybe the system ain't as broken. Maybe I may not need to be the cynic that I used to be. Maybe I can put my faith in and hope in this situation. So when I see my people up there, like Andrea Jenkins and Philippe, when I see them up there doing their thing in all arenas, when we talk about the cast of polls, when we talk about, anywhere where you have trans people actually leading and putting something out there, it makes me feel hopeful. It makes me look at Donald Trump and say, oh, we're going to get you. Oh, we're going to get you. We ain't lost. We got the power. And so for me, that's what it is. It's about actually saying that we have the power. There's somebody who allowed us to be in this space and be leaders and let you know what we need for our own community. And so it gives me hope that we can make the change that we want to see.
Damn, you preached the whole word right there.
Did. She sure
a whole word. Do you hear
yes,
me?
she did. Yes, she did. I was like, look at my sister go off. But the whole thing is that you saying that you couldn't do this because you have to watch what you say. We got a man in the office that's not watching what he says, right? He says whatever he wants to say. Who say that you have to watch what you say? You don't. You don't. From day one when he got there, I'm not gonna say the word, but he was grabbing women by the hoo-ha, right? I can say hoo-ha, right? Yeah. So, but he's the other word. Right? This is the man that is running the country. This is supposed to be okay to do this to women. Like, come on, and we're all right with it. And the women that voted for him was all right with it. How are you all right with this? It's degrading. It's disgusting, and it's not how we maneuver. So you can run for office, right? Because like I said, we will all stand behind and with and next to Monica. We will do it for you too. You know why? Because you speak the truth, right? You want to see us succeed. I stand next to you all day, every day, Diamond. You know how we roll. Right. You answer the phone for me on a whim. You was on the floor at work. I was like, Diamond, I need to talk to you. You was like, brother, I'm at work. Yeah, but I got to talk to you. You was like, all right, give me 1 second. And you call me back. That's what we need. We need people to listen to us. Right. And if you were in office, you would listen to the people. You already said you are in the trenches. We are in the trenches. We know what the people want and need because they're calling us at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And they're telling us, I just want to eat. I'm hungry. I want someplace to lay my head. I want an apartment. They turned off my medical. I don't have no food stamps. This is what our people want and need, right? They want to eat. They want to go to sleep so they can get up and go out for a job interview tomorrow, right? They might not have the skills, but they are determined and they will go and they will do, right? And that's another thing. Open up the doors and let's train our people. What does that look like, right? There are so many people that want knowledge but can't afford to go get the knowledge, right? So we have to stand up and make space, provide space, and vote. That's it.
Oh yeah, I think we have a comment from or a comment that is coming from the room. And here's the comment right now. Diamond, this is from Elizabeth Ann Jefferson. Diamond, you are far more articulate than the occupant of the White House. And your views are important to have another level of platform in community. I mean, really, I appreciate Elizabeth for that comment because she's just spot on about it. And really, it seems to me like what it gets to is believing in the power of our own voice, believing in our own capacity to make things happen. So I'm wondering, because Jevon, you just talked about people who our siblings who really, are struggling. They're really struggling just to survive from day to day. Okay. How do we convince people who are so oppressed who are struck, they are surviving. Okay. And that is in and of itself is a powerful thing to survive in the midst of oppression. But how do we convince people who are struggling that they need to go vote? What is at stake for them? How do you convince them in the midst of oppression and trying to make it from one day to the other to get to the polls? And then we'll have another question.
This is what I've been doing. I go with people, right? Because one, people are scared, right? And what they're scared of is that when they get to the poll, they're going to be discriminated against, right? Because their ID does not match who they are. Some people, right? Not all. So I go with people and I filter, and what that looks like is this person, and they are transgender. They are just here to vote. This is their ID. We are at the right polling place, and they just want to cast their ballot. So the past couple of years, I have been taking people. I have been supporting people to go, sending people in Ubers and Lyfts, making sure they get there and making sure they get home. Right? That's what that looks like. And again, with the right information, given the right information, we can thrive. And I want to tell you, I see her here, and I want to big up Dr. Wilhelmina Perry. Dr. Wilhelmina Perry had a class on grant writing. I went to the class. I learned how to write grants, and that is how Princess Janae Place came about, with Dr. Wilhelmina Perry showing me how to read grants, how to recognize what grant I need to write for an organization. So you give us the tools and we can make it happen, right? I sat with Sasha Washington. They helped and was there from day one. I Googled everything, started the nonprofit on my own, but Dr. Wilhelmina Perry gave me all instructions on how to write grants. And I thank you, Dr. Perry. You know I love you.
And I think what we're talking about is investment. I know that we are marginalized. There's things that happen to us. We've been murdered, astronomical numbers, blah, 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 blah. So it's easy to get in that mode of where we are the victims, we are downtrodden, and blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm tired of being a victim. If you want to make me great, invest in me. Stop looking at me as a client. Stop looking at me as a resource that can help people. There are some of us who have degrees. There are some of us who have skills. There are some of us who have leadership qualities. There are some people who have so many things that if you invest in, it can grow and benefit the community. It is so imperative that we actually invest in our people. If you are ally and you're not training somebody up to be great, if you're not whoever your mentor is, if you're not passing that knowledge on to a trans person, what are you doing with your allyship? If you're not investing in us to grow, if you are just trying to perpetually keep us clients, like when we think about the like a transitional living housing, that institution is predicated and based on there being homeless people. But we're trying to eliminate that. So how are we keeping this how are we creating a program where it is eliminating the problem, where this institution does not have to be even in existence anymore? We have to make sure that we are trying to solve a problem and not trying to keep a problem going on just because, we want the capital gain and the gain from that. Also, I really feel like we have to, I think somebody mentioned this in the comments or alluded to this. There was a case, Farmer versus Brenham. It's a Black trans woman who was in prison in Terre Haute, Indiana. She was moved to this prison, and within the first week, she was raped, she was beat, and on multiple times. She fought for years. She fought for years to get her case heard at the Supreme Court. She kept getting denied. And on the last try, on the last appeal, the ACLU stepped in and helped her, and she was able to talk in front of the Supreme Court. Her case led to the Prison Rape Elimination Act. That act snowballed into so many different acts, like the Violence Against Women Act. When you center somebody that is as marginalized as we are, the programming, if you center them, the programming that helps us is going to automatically uplift the rest of the people who are above us in the hierarchy. It is going to automatically, if you center the needs of Black, trans, disabled women and non-binary folks, or center the needs of immigrant, Black, trans, disabled immigrants, if you center the needs of these people who are on the fringes, who are the most vulnerable, and create program and infrastructure to help them, it is literally going to save the lives of everybody above them. So you have to be really strategic about how not to forget people, how to actually reach back and say who neck. You know, I hate putting. I used to because the George Floyd thing. I don't like to say this anymore. But who am I? Who am I standing on? Who am I not allowing to breathe? Who am I forgetting? Who am I blind to? This tunnel vision for me trying to get my rights, how can I open that up to bring somebody else in? You really, really have to be intentional, particularly allies. We always, notorious folks is, white feminists who because they're focused on looking because they're focused on looking at dismantling patriarchy. They don't have a racial analysis that would include us. But if they will open up their eyes a little bit more, that's a small historical example of, so think about wherever your position, wherever your privilege is, no matter if you're a trans person, no matter if you're a queer person, no matter who you are, wherever your privilege is, how can you take that privilege and bring somebody who is not necessarily beneath you, but who might have less privilege than you and bring them along with you? I think we really, really have to focus on our strategy around bringing people through the door with us as we go through the door. Because too many times, particularly, we get through the door and we close it, or we create these barriers. Well, you're trying to make programming to get people a house. I don't even got a house. Stuff like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we go through the door and we get to this point and we don't want to save people. Like, no. We have to really save.
And I love how you said that, Diamond, because when you said how these programs are built to hold people back, right? Because you can't have this program if there aren't these people, right? But with Princess Janae Place, when we came along, we're not transitional housing, we're not supportive housing, because they've been doing that for years. We are housing, right? We're giving people apartments that we searched out, that we went to the landlords and the realtors and talked to them and gave them cultural competency and told them about trans people. And then we would say, hey, how many apartments do you have, right? They told us we have 3 apartments. Well, we have 3 clients. Hey, let's put them in this apartment. And we pay the first month rent and security, and then they take over from there. We make sure that they know how to sustain their apartment, because we give them financial literacy training if they need it. Because not everyone needs this. Yeah. They just need an apartment. They can pay their own rent, but they can't get into it. Why? Because they don't have good credit, right? Some of these people don't even know, because they're not told. If you're not paying your rent, why are they checking your credit? You're not paying the rent. It's coming from SSD, SSI, HASA, your vouchers, Section 8. They need to check the credit of New York City. Don't check my credit. My name is going on it, but the check is coming from the city. Why are you checking my credit? So I've been going to these landlords and realtors and saying, hey, The check is coming from the city. You will get your money. We'll pay the first month written security, put this person in the apartment. And that's what we've been doing. We have not been holding nobody back. We are not keeping nobody because that we're not in the business of keeping people, held captive to learn this and learn that. And after 6 months, you go here and then you go to the next step. No, you need an apartment. That's what you need. There you go. Go in it. Thrive. Oh, spread your wings and fly. Come on now. We done bypassed all of that, holding people back from being who they are. And my other mentor is here, Lewis Mitchell. Whew, love that guy. See you.
Let me say this too. I feel like that is in those type of care tactics, those type of strategies to get to the people and really do what matters in their life. That is how I'm going to get the political info to say, hey, baby, all the people in my program that I help, did y'all go vote?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And they're going to be like, oh, if Princess Janae plays care about me voting, then it must be important. Because in my mind, it frees their mind up of worry. If I'm a sex worker and I have to worry about rent, I'm on the host roll, I'm not worried about no dang on voting. I'm worried about the next John. I'm worried about is this a cop or is it? I'm worried about these things. I'm not worried about what Kamala Harris' track record as a DA. I'm not worried about that.
You don't hit on something right there.
The next meal I'm going to get. I'm not even thinking about politics in that same way. But if I got a house and I got security and I ain't got to worry about when the next John I'm going to get to be able to eat, to be able to survive, if I don't have to worry about that, then when Diamond or Jevon or Monica or Pamela come to me talking about the vote, then I got time to listen. I got time to say, oh, I ain't got no clients to do today. What you talking about? Do you feel what I'm saying? It gives me room and space to be able to care about these things that y'all calling are tools. Y'all calling these things tools, but if it's not giving me actual survival mechanism, I don't want that damn tool. I don't need that right now. Let me figure this stuff out here over here, and then I'll worry about that tool later. When that house need to be built, then we can worry about it. I'm trying to actually get the foundation. I haven't even got the foundation. So for me, that's what it's about. When you actually do that kind of community care, when you actually do that kind of work to actually make sure that people have their basic needs, their health care, their food, their shelter, they're not sitting on the streets. When you take those off the table, those worries off the table, then they can be more political. Then they can worry about voting.
So, I mean, both of you have to some extent talked about educating the people, okay? And along with education, you've also talked about making sure that people's needs are met so that they can actually think about voting. Those two things are really important. I mean, in the final minutes that we have here, what questions and what are some important ideas that you think we should consider on this platform in the weeks to come that are important for us to continue to address that deeply affect the trans community? What are some and deeply affect the trans community, and in responding to those things and in wrestling with these things, we might influence more persons to vote?
You want me to go, Jevon? So first of all, we need to rally around the Equality Act. We got the win in regards to the Supreme Court, which I was so happy about. We got that win, but we need a more robust win. We need a more robust where we're protected all around, and that starts with the Equality Act. So we have to. We can't get that passed if we got Orange Cheeto in office. So we got to get him out. So we can, rally around that. For me, we got to get this COVID thing under wraps. We have to get it under wraps. When I say this, I said this in a conversation with my friends. I said what the public is dealing with, they're actually dealing with what trans people have to deal with all the time. When it comes to isolation, when it comes to worrying about something harming you on the bus and in public or around groups, You know, I know it's a different context, but we got to worry about.
No, it's a good point. That's such a good
We have
point.
to worry about this stuff all the time. Whether somebody is going to attack us, throw bottles at us, call us names. Somebody's going to tell our tea. Going to the hospital and people don't even know how to fix you. People don't even know. You got to educate them, or they don't know what the problem is. And you know, all these things, you're kind of getting a glimpse of what trans folks have to deal with before COVID. This is what it is. This is what we have to do. And so for me, being that my life has been a pandemic, being that my life, I feel like I have a little insight on how to fix this. And so in my mind, I want people who will listen to us, that bring us to the table on how to get this often above us, and people who actually care about people, who are not willing to lose lives or sacrifice lives, or think that's just, you know, one life is too many. If we can do what we need to do, you know, there's some uncontrollable things, but there are some controllable things. You people pillage the world. You pillage the world, and you want to tell me that you don't have the money to be able to handle this? You pillage the world. Handle this. We can handle this situation. We have the infrastructure. We have the money. We have the intelligent people. Put them in office so they can handle it with care.
Word. Jevon or Monica?
Whew. I have to applaud you, Diamond. You've been preaching all night, and you say you don't have what it takes. You have what it takes. You've always had what it takes, right? And I'm a witness to this, to let you know that you've always had what it takes. And this show proves that, right? And we have the resources within us. And if we all come together to make this happen, they have to listen to us, right? And that's what we want people to do. Listen, right? We've had this incident with trans men having babies, and when they go into the hospital and they say, I'm having a baby, and the person on the other side is like, oh, well, where's your wife? No, I'm having a baby, right? I am having a baby. So listening. We need you all to listen, right? Once you listen, support us how we tell you we need support. Diamond said it earlier. Listen to what we are saying we need. Don't give us what you think we need. Give us what we need, right? And lastly, open the door and step out the way. Step aside.
Thank you.
Step aside.
Thank you so much. I have just a few announcements that I need to make. First, I want to thank Monica for a valiant effort in the midst of some technology challenges. And I want to thank you, Diamond, and you, Jevon. And I just want to thank all of our trans siblings and non-gender conforming siblings for the work that they're doing. We're here on this platform, but there's so many people that we don't see who are behind the scenes who are doing the work. So I want to thank you all. I want to make 3 announcements. On September the 8th, we're going to be back here, and we're going to have, we're going to be speaking on health and well-being. I think that's the theme for that night. We have 3 of our younger LGBTQ siblings here, 2 of our, younger siblings here who will be leading us in that. Also want to ask you all to follow us. Our Facebook page is Black Political Collective. So please follow us, and don't just follow us, like us and share our pages and use our hashtags. Our hashtags are Black the Vote, BLAQUE, Black the Vote, and hashtag Black the Vote 2020. We'll be continuing to have these series up. So we really want to make sure that we do the very best we can to make sure that we step out on November the 3rd. So we're going to keep doing this work from now until that day. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Kudos to everybody. Register at vote.org. Vote.org. We all say bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
The majority of the people that I serve are the antithesis of what the current administration supports.
There's multiple people leading across the country, and there's multiple actions happening all the time, and these constant disruptions, and that's what we need.
And we can only prevail when we are persistent beyond the mechanism of the vote.